Are we ready? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call this recommending meeting to order November 17th, 9:07 a.m. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law? Okay. I'll move to our first line item of business, and that is Bill number 2009-45, which amends the city's regulations pertaining to alcoholic beverages, including updates to the licensing categories, standards, and definitions, sponsored by Councilman Wolfson. Staff?
Councilman Barlow and Councilman Anthony. I'm Jim DiFiore from the Business Services Division, and I will give you a brief overview of the bill that is being proposed as an amendment to the current Chapter 650 of the Municipal Code. This was done with the intent to expand the opportunities in some cases with the alcohol industry. We have proposed that we have several new classifications, including a beer wine cooler cinema classification for a project that is going up in Ward 2. This would allow, under limitations, the sale of alcohol with meals where you would be able to watch a movie. Additionally, we have another classification called a general on-sale license, which would be equivalent to a tavern license, but for golf, sports, cultural, recreational, or theme park establishments. It would give them the opportunity to have full service. Sort of a subset of that would be a general on-sale beer wine license, which would allow a new project in Ward 3 to be able to have a baseball game or a softball game where they would be able to go to a concession stand to order a beer and be able to go back to the stands and watch the game. Currently, we don't have that. Currently, we have, if you have beer and wine for sale, you must have it with a meal. And we felt that that restriction imposed on this particular project, I think, would be pretty demanding, and we wanted to give the ability to be able to come forward with an application for a general on-sale beer wine license, which would limit it to beer and wine, but it would allow the consumption of alcohol with, as a spectator in a sporting event. Additionally, we've added a new category for instructional winemaking facility. Although we don't have any now, we've had several calls in the last couple of years with interest to come into the Las Vegas market and have a winemaking facility established, but we didn't have a category. It is by state law that there can be an instructional winemaking facility, and we're kind of following what the state law has adopted at this point, so that would be a new category as well. In the nonprofit club general category, we have a provision that would require that member guests must accompany a club member at all times. Some of our problems in the past with our nonprofit clubs have been where they kind of open up as a tavern for the night and they allow people to come in that don't have membership there, are not members' guests. So we want to have the ability to be able to say, if you're a club member at a nonprofit club, such as the American Legion Club, that if you entertain or if you go to that facility, you must be a member, and you must be a guest of that member, must accompany the member while they're there on site. I think that was the intent going back many years ago for these clubs, and that was to be able to afford a place where their members can meet, have meetings, but at the same time be able to have food and have alcohol at those meetings. And I think it's kind of been distorted from that original intent going back many, many years ago. So this is another provision that we would like to add. We want to expand the wine tasting and liqueur tasting with certain limitations. It provides for an expansion on the type of accompanying license this may be issued with. Currently, it's issued with package licenses, but we would like to give the ability to the wholesale distributors to be able to have the ability to have wine tasting at certain venues, which would be grocery stores and other events, where the distributor may have their own type of brand or own type of wine that they may bring and be able to have customers be able to sample those types of wines and so forth. Right now, it's limited to grocery stores only, so we want to expand that to allow the wholesale people to come in and do that as well. Clarifies the height requirement for signage for businesses selling alcohol for off-premise consumption. Many of the stores that we've gone in the last couple of years, they have their signs which must by code state that you're not allowed to consume alcohol within 1,000 feet of this particular store, primarily convenience stores and grocery stores. They've had those where they're not visible to the customer coming in. Some of them are in the lower corner of the cashier stand. Some of them are way up high where the customer normally doesn't look for that kind of information. So we've created a provision in here that these signs must be posted no lower than 3 feet, no higher than 7 feet. We figured that's pretty much of the scope of range of visibility that a customer normally would see those signs at. We added a keg beer license. We have one keg beer licensee that we have in the city of Las Vegas, and we've provided a provision that allows for the keg beer distributor to be able to be a sponsor at an event that he delivers the keg beer to, that he may be utilized as a bartender or to serve or pour that alcohol. But we would like to know where these keg beers for commercial purposes are being delivered that he is going to attend, and we have an event permit which would be included along with the alcoholic beverage caterer permit that we currently have for us to be able to monitor and track where they have these events at. The only fee increase here that we have is the event permit fee would increase from $15 to $25. And that's really to cover our costs. We process these permits, we review them, we send them off in a list to Metro for them to be aware of some of these events that occur. We make sure that the other departments where these events are at are familiar with it, or they approve it if they have a review for that particular event. So the $25 that we charge per event just really covers our costs in that area. It would amend the a provision to amend the code to allow the World Market Center to have alcohol be able to be sold year-round at activities that they oversee. Currently, the permanent trade show facility allows them to sell alcohol only during the times that they have trade shows, which have been 2 weeks during the year. But this would allow them to do other events and other activities year-round. They do have a permanent license, but currently it's limited to the trade show times only. We are going to amend or propose to amend the work card requirements for the people who pour and serve alcohol in the city of Las Vegas. One of the areas that we have looked at and we have made been a suggestion from was to allow the individuals who pour alcohol in a restaurant, they would retain the work card requirement, but those waiters or waitresses that serve food as their primary duties of their job would not have the requirement to have a work card. Some of the restaurants that you go into now, when you sit down, you'll have a person to come by and take your drink order, and you'll have a separate person come by and take your food order. And those people that are serving food, we felt that maybe it was time for us to change and take a look at not making them go through the work card requirement since they were not handling the alcohol. So that is a proposal in this particular code. We have made a provision in here, actually a repealing of what we have in the existing code, which restricts the areas that hard alcohol can be sold. We have looked at this many months and believe that the original intent going back 20, 25 years ago was to help protect the grocery store industry and help curtail the ability for minors to come in and do a snatch and grab on the alcohol. Over the years, the way that grocery stores are set up today, with security cameras in some cases, with personnel that they utilize in some cases to monitor this themselves, we felt that maybe this is a time we could propose that it doesn't, it's not the role of government to come in and protect the industry's inventory inside the store. Additionally, we received a letter from the Smith's Food King business, and they are in support of this primarily because it allows them to do different things in marketing their food items as well as their alcohol items. So the burden of responsibility of that would be upon the store owner, the managers, the people that are employed there, and so forth. So that's being proposed in this code as well. One thing we have added was to provide for the allowance of a corking fee for the beer wine cooler on sale and the beer wine cooler on off sale, the restaurant service bar and supper clubs. For many of you that are not familiar with the corking fee, generally speaking, what this does is it allows you to come in to patronize a restaurant to bring in your own wine from your own personal stock. The code does not currently allow that. In some cases, the restaurant owner does not want to encourage that because it takes or detracts from their sale of their wine and their volume. But we want to give this to the ability of a person who owns these licenses and operates these types of restaurants to allow their customers to be able to bring in their wine. It would have to be in a closed container, and they can pour it at their table with their food, but the responsibility is on the licensee and their employees that when that person leaves, that they have to package it back up and they can leave it with the business, or they can take it with them. But it cannot be, it has to be controlled. It cannot be an open container that they're leaving when they leave the premises of the store. I don't know that we're going to get a lot of demand for this, but it does occur and it does happen, and currently our code does not allow it to happen. Let's see. Many of the other things are really cosmetic items. We have one major area that we have that we've added that is a little bit off of what we've done in the past, and that's to provide for a new license if they're going to have entertainment at their restaurant or at their business, that the entertainment would be approval by the City Council. So when you see applications coming on the City Council, if there are going to be requests for any type of entertainment, when those are on the agenda, they would have to be discussed with the City Council. The City Council would have to approve the entertainment that they have. Presently, with the economy the way it is, we're finding that people are trying to get creative and find a different way to generate revenue, but at the same time they're not taking the precautions and providing the safeguards for their business and for the community, that the entertainment that they do provide is not very well planned. And this, we believe, would allow the council to be able to say, we'll approve you with this type of entertainment with limited hours or limited times or so forth. If, in fact, they do have entertainment that comes in after they've been licensed, the provision today calls for the director to be able to approve that. If there are concerns with the City Council, we can make a change to say that if it comes to the director's attention, that if the entertainment does require approval by this adoption, then we would bring it back before the City Council before the entertainment is authorized to be conducted. That pretty much covers it. I think I've tried to be as brief as I can and as thorough as I can, but there, again, are other things in there that are cosmetic and not really are a significant impact on the industry as I see it at this point. So I guess that for the time being, unless there's questions, that concludes my presentation.
Question for you.
Okay?
Why so much in one ordinance? I mean, this is like a lot of detailed information under one ordinance. Why did you do it this way?
I think this is it's a compilation of things that we've been trying to put together for a couple of years. And as other things became priorities, like the fee bills that we've gone over here in the last couple of years, we found as we were going through the draft on this that there were other things, and some of it become economy-driven, that we had to put in here. And just believed that if we were going to go forward with any changes in 6.50, that now was the time to do it. And so we tried to make it as comprehensive as we could.
Waiters and waitresses regarding the work cards. In the event that the waiter or waitress delivers drinks and that sub person, if you will, is not delivering the drinks and the waiter or waitresses are just delivering the food, they won't need a work card?
The way the code is written today, or proposed to be introduced here, is that if you pour or serve alcoholic beverages, then you are required to have a work card, with the exception of waiter or waitresses in a restaurant whose primary duties are to provide orders or produce food as an order is made. If a waiter does both, or a waitress does both, if she takes your food order and takes your drink order, then she's still required to have a work card, as I see it. Val, I don't know if that is...
Then that confuses the whole process, because let's just say, for example, a waiter has to do that for the day, but he or she traditionally don't do that, but this particular day they have to. I mean, what do they do? I think it just really confuses the whole system as far as operations. Why are we taking them out? What's the problem with it the way it is today?
There was a recommendation made by an assemblywoman, quite frankly, who was in the industry, and we also had one particular work card appellant going back 2 years ago, 3 years ago. She was an employee of a chain of restaurants, both city and county based, and she got transferred from a county based operation to a city based operation. She'd been working at the county based operation for a couple of years, did not have to have a work card, primarily because she was doing food orders only. And when she moved to the city, she was advised that she needed a work card, even though she was doing the same job and not serving alcohol. I believe at that meeting, council asked us to look into the work card requirements for both the city and the county, and we did at that time. And we believe that if in fact that the waitress was only serving food as her primary duty, and maybe the the serving of alcohol was incidental to that we would want to be consistent with Clark County, so we didn't have this problem of employees transferring from one business to another business, city to county or county to city, having one work card requirement and not having the other work card requirement. So that was one area that we believed that we could make consistent, so it would be easier on the industry.
Is it the industry or the individual?
It can be both. I think that when we look at our codes, it certainly applies to the individuals, and the individuals that we do have pouring, serving, cashiering for alcohol, it is a high priority, and it is something that we find that we take very seriously, and we try to address those problem areas that we have concerns with. If we were to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, is the waiter or waitress a concern of pouring alcohol to a minor, or being intoxicated when you're pouring alcohol? We find that we have probably a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. That would be a concern. When we go into the tavern industry, we find that we have a higher concern with those bartenders and those waitresses pouring and serving alcohol because there's a
But that's their primary job.
That's their primary job.
Right.
And the waiter and waitresses in a restaurant, going back 10 years ago, they did everything. They poured your alcohol, they served your food. Today, they, in some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases, they seem to be more specialized. I know the restaurants that I go into, you pretty much have a person that brings you your drinks, and you have a person that brings you your food. And when I ask for another drink, they say, I'll bring that person over here and they'll take your order for your drink. So in those cases, I think we have built into this work card requirement some safeguard, or at least some provision that, if you're doing both, you need the work card. If you're doing one as your primary job, serving food, then if incidentally you do bring a glass of wine over to the seat or to the table, then you don't need the work card. So again, it's more of a consistency and more of a concern, whether it is a concern or not a concern. So that's the provision that's being provided here.
The square footage of liquor inside of the grocery stores, currently they're in a certain location and so many square feet inside of grocery stores. What is it that the grocery stores will have an opportunity to do as far as increase the square footage, have the opportunity to sell, advertise throughout the store? Is that the nature of...
That's pretty much, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the industry that's actually in support of this, but I do know that the letter that we received from Smith's would allow them to market their products a little bit more creatively than they do today because of the limitations. The limitations are pretty much lifted during the holiday season, where you can bring out your harder alcohol and put it on tables or in displays, and you have more flexibility in your marketing of those particular products. And I believe what they're asking to do is to have that limitation removed, so it wouldn't be less restrictive during holidays, but it would be applied throughout the entire year. This would be certainly would be a different venue than we currently have in the grocery store industry. I have checked with the other agencies and the other jurisdictions. Currently, the City of Henderson and the City of North Las Vegas do not address that. Having not addressed it, I believe that the grocery stores in those jurisdictions are able to do that today. Clark County does have a very similar provision in their code which restricts it, and the language is very, very similar to ours.
Our current or proposed language?
No, they have current. Currently, it's restricted, just like we have it restricted in the city.
Currently?
Currently. And Henderson and North Las Vegas have no language at all in their codes. So Clark County does have the same provision that we do today. I have talked to one of the agents from Clark County. They're kind of waiting to see if ours is going to be adopted to lift that restriction in the grocery stores, and if so, that they may be looking at doing the same, just to make it, again, consistent across the board.
The corking fee. I've read the changed language. However, I don't fully understand where we're going with the corking fee. Is it to generate revenue for the city? I mean, what would be the reason for the fee? Or is the fee for the establishment, giving the establishment an opportunity to charge the fee?
Yeah, the fee is for the industry to be able to do that.
Okay. And I believe I understand the entertainment piece as far as that's concerned, so I don't have any questions. Councilman Stravos, do you have any questions for Jim before we open up?
I want to hear public comment first.
Okay. We're now down to the portion of this agenda item Is there anyone from the public willing to speak on this item? If so, please come forward, state your name for the record. We'll be glad to hear from you.
Good morning, Ryan Arnold, 2620 Regatta Drive, here today representing Walmart. Our only concern, I guess, is the inclusion of the word supercenter. It's a new special category that's been added, and I guess we're just looking for clarification as to why it's needed. Now, I apologize to Jim and Carol. I didn't get this until late last night, so I didn't have a chance to get with them. But that's our main concern, is why the inclusion of the new language.
Jim?
Presently today, we have your major grocery store chains, which when you go into those locations, you'll see that they are 85-90% grocery items. And today they have the ability to sell alcohol by the internet, and that is through a pretty much regulated means of being able to identify who is making the order through the internet and being able to make sure that when that delivery is made, that the person who ordered it is the person it's being delivered to, and they have to be 21 years or older. The code currently today does not allow that for your Sam's Club, your Walmarts, or your Costco's. We have them identified in our category for licensing as department stores, which is really kind of a misnomer for those types of activities. When you go into a Walmart, when you go into a Costco or a Sam's Club, you're going to see that the grocery items that they have for display are pretty voluminous, but at the same time, compared to the other items that they have for their customers to purchase, maybe a smaller portion of the total inventory. But it does not allow them the same ability to do internet sales as the grocery store industry. We believe that we needed to identify these major chains differently than what we have identified them up to this point in time. And we use the term supercenter because, quite frankly, they offer everything. If you want to go into those stores, you're going to find just about anything that you're looking for, and maybe going to 2 or 3 other stores which specialize in those types of products. So the term supercenter, whether it remains that name, was just something that we came up with for these types of venues, and it would also give them the ability to do internet alcohol sales as a grocery store industry. So that's the primary purpose for that.
I don't want to get into back and forth or anything, but I don't know if you guys would be open to maybe an alternative name or something like that.
Sure.
Okay. We don't want to stop the ability for someone else to sell online. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on this item? If so, please come forward to the microphone, state your name for the record. Seeing none, Councilman?
Jim, the only question I have is on the baseball games. Can you, what kind of baseball games are you talking about?
Presently today we have a project in Ward 3, Big League Greens, I believe it is, where they're going to have a multifunctional complex in Ward 3, which proposed to hold various softball tournaments, softball games, activities relating to the athletic events at that particular field. Different from the Las Vegas Cashman Center baseball field. They have a full-service license, meaning they have a convention facility license which allows them to serve all types of alcohol. So if you go to a baseball game in the summertime, you can go up to the concession stand and you can order a beer, a hot dog, and you can go back down and sit down. And they have the ability to do that because of the license that they have. That license would not apply here because it doesn't meet the criteria according to the description in our code. The general on-sale alcoholic beverage license is a full scale type of sale of alcohol, but it's limited to golf courses, sports facilities, cultural, recreational, or theme park establishments. And I know that at least for the first year, it's my understanding that the Big League Dreams is going to be limited to the sale of beer and wine with their concessions at the softball games and the events that they're going to have there. Currently, the sale of beer and wine is restricted to in two types. One, if you have a restaurant with beer and wine, you have to have a meal with that restaurant, and you can only consume the beer and wine with a meal. So if you have a family that comes in and the husband and wife want to order a glass of wine with their meal, and they finish up their meal, technically speaking, they cannot order another glass of wine with the idea that they have to have a meal with that particular in that particular venue. The only other beer wine that we do have is the package where you take it away from the premises, like a convenience store. So the idea here was to create a new category called the general on-sale alcoholic beverage license, which would allow full service facility for these types of venues. And because my understanding is they're going to be limited to beer and wine for the first year, that we created a category to allow them to have the opportunity to sell beer and wine without a meal, but to have the patron be able to go to the concession stand, to go back to the stands and watch a ball game, to be able to consume a beer or a glass of wine while they're watching the ball game without a meal. So that's the reason that we've created those two categories.
So besides this facility in Ward 3, would other facilities in the valley be eligible for something like this that you can think of?
I suppose so. I think that as the city gets more prosperous and grows, I think other facilities that they do maybe lease out, and it could be at some point in time we have. I know years ago they were talking about another facility in the Northwest, very similar to what is happening in Ward 3. It does limit it to the golf, sports, cultural, recreational, or theme park establishments. So today, if necessary, which it may not even be a factor for them, but if the Las Vegas Springs Preserve, for instance, wanted to have a different type of venue or a different type of license, currently they have a banquet facility license for covering their alcohol throughout the entire premises. But if they wish to change or do something different, they could have a general on-sale alcoholic beverage license or the beer and wine general on-sale in lieu of what they currently have today. Your other places where this may occur, it could be if you have a miniature golf course. I'm not proposing that or suggesting that, but you could have a miniature golf course where it might be a type of attraction that they could have a general on-sale beer and wine license where the patrons could come and play miniature golf and have a beer with that as well. So while there's not a lot of demand today, we're looking at this from the area of being more flexible than we currently are.
Any further questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple suggestions for amendments.
Okay.
I wasn't able to prepare them in advance, but they're very minor. Section 27 talks about, it's on page 21, talks about licensees making their records available for inspection by either Metro or by the department. And the current language talks about the normal business hours. And because licensees have different hours, we would just substitute in during the licensee's business hours so that that is flexible and it pertains to each individual licensee. In section 36, which is on page 25, there's a discussion of certain people who are not allowed on the premises of the licensee to expose certain parts of their body. This bill, as introduced, would have added security guards to that list. And it was brought to our attention by Metro that some people perform security functions but aren't technically called security guards, so we would just add in security guard or the person performing a security function, and that would pick them up. And then at the very end of the bill, we would need to add 2 new sections that would make changes to the land use tables and the land use definitions of supper club to correspond to the changes that we're making here in Title VI, so licensing and the zoning department don't get at odds about the definition.
Correct.
So with that, we'd recommend a First Amendment. I'm not sure how you want to address the terminology issue that Ryan brought up. If you want to have it back here, or if you want to just us to bring something to you on the date that this might be eligible for adoption.
I would like for you to bring something on the date when it's eligible for adoption.
All right, so my recommendation is that we send this along as a First Amendment, and then we'll propose the change in terminology, if any, as a Second Amendment.
Okay, that's my motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. So moved. Thank you. Second line item of business would be the Bill number 2009-47, which updates the city's drought conservation measures in accordance with the revisions of the Southern Nevada Water Authority drought plan, sponsored by Councilwoman Tarkini.
Yes, I'll make this presentation, Councilman. As you know, many years ago, several years ago, when the Southern Nevada Water Authority adopted its drought plan, it included a number of drought conditions: no drought, drought watch, drought alert, and drought critical. And each of those conditions had its own set of conservation rules. In the meantime, I think the Water Authority's determined that we aren't going back to a no drought situation anytime soon, but also that we're not heading towards a drought critical, which would impose very drastic measures. They apparently have seen no possibility that we will retreat from our current drought alert type situation back to drought watch. So they have redone their entire plan to take out those different measures. They just talked about there being a drought, and so they have asked that each of the member agencies amend their ordinances to remove those categories, if you will, but retain in place the existing drought conservation measures. So this is just a cleanup to conform our ordinance to their plan.
Okay.
Recommend approval.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here from the public willing to speak on this item? Seeing none. Councilman?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So at this time, we're down to public comment. Is there anyone here willing to speak under the public comment section of the agenda? If so, please come forward. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Councilman?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.